Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we've got a look at another pretty recently released plugin from HoRNet Plugins, who's a great developer of inexpensive, great sounding plugins. And this one is Thrust, which is basically a loudness plugin or a loudness maximizer that does so without clipping. You can think of Thrust as sort of a direct competitor to the Oxford Inflator. Thrust also supports up to 10 channels of audio, can be used in Atmos sessions. That's a lot of cool things here. So I want to dive right in and talk about the controls, which are really, really simple on this one. You've got typical input and output faders and meters. Then we have the effect fader right here. And the effect fader is basically a dry wet fader or a dry wet knob that dials in how much the effect you want. The meter next to this effect fader shows you the amount of the effect being applied. We'll skip over this loudness for now and jump over to the curve control. The curve control is sort of dialing in the amount of the non-linear loudness curve being applied, maximum loudness at the top level, less so down at the bottom level. And this loudness fader right here increases loudness in the most sensitive part of the human hearing range to squeeze even more perceived loudness out of your signal. Below these basic faders, we've got some buttons here. We've got a output clipper button, making sure nothing can cross 0 dB. We've got this multi-band control button, which splits the signal into 3 separate bands to be processed separately for even more loudness. A delta switch, which allows us to listen to only the processed sound. An on or off switch, basically a bypass here. And an oversampling menu. It's best really to probably leave it on auto because the auto oversampling is based upon your session sample rate. But of course, you can pick whatever one you want right here. And that is basically it for controls. This is great for using on full mixes, on buses, or anything you want to pull some volume out of without using clipping. So I'm going to leave the Thrust up on the screen and bring up the Waves loudness meter. This is bypassed now. To make sure it is, I'll turn it off, okay? And then we're going to play a drum bus and see what we get in terms of LUFS here. Falling in about -24 LUFS. So now let's engage the plugin here. We've got that auto oversampling on. We'll make sure we don't go above that clipping. We're not going to do the multiband just yet. I'm going to dial in the curve, dial in the effect, and see what we get. Up to about -21 LUFS. Now, if we push that input, we can get even more. Up to about -19, we can try the multiband. Dial it back a little. And if we push this delta, we'll hear what the actual processing is. Of course, we can dial it in with the dry wet control. That multiband button does make a difference. And here it is without. Of course, it's going to be softer. And with. So there it is, Thrust from HoRNet Plugins. Really simple to use plugin, very similar to that Oxford Inflator for drawing out sort of maximum volume levels out of your signals. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out Thrust on your own if you'd like to. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in that comment section. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.